afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. I'm Jenny Montgomery. We're talking with baby expert Shannon Usher about summer safety, from swim lessons to sunscreen, even bathing suit colors. But we begin with the heat, and the big issue every summer is babies in hot cars. And let me tell you, these are the worst stories to read on the news. So we really want to help parents remember that baby in the back seat. Even when it's not that hot outside, temperatures inside a car can rise to a dangerous level. The heat poses a greater risk for children. Their bodies heat up 3 to 5 times faster than adults, according to the American Academy of Pediatrics.
Whether it's your jacket or your purse, a laptop bag, something of yours that at the end of the trip you have to go to the back seat to go retrieve. Then when your child is with you, it's already part of your brain's memory and part of your habit to do so. And so you will check the back seat at the end of the trip.
The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration says heat stroke is one of the leading causes of non-crash vehicle-related fatalities among children. From 1990 to 2023, Kids and Car Safety reports over 1,000 child hot car deaths across the nation, 45 of those in Georgia. As temperatures creep higher, the director of Save Kids Columbus says one of the most common contributing factors to these tragedies is when parents or caregivers change their daily routines.
You normally take a left to go to work and the daycare is to the right. Today you're actually going to drop off at daycare. You're not going to take that left to work, and there you go. You take that left to work, you've got a sleeping baby in the back seat, and that's where we can get ourselves into a lot of trouble.
How can this happen? More than half of the cases reported across the U.S. in the past 33 years involved children who were unknowingly left in a vehicle. Kids and Car Safety says a child's body overheats 3 to 5 times faster than an adult body. Chief Meteorologist Bob Jeswald says that's why even 10 minutes can make all the difference between life and death.
You look at days similar to what we're experiencing this season. As we are now going into summer, you could see that heat index values could easily get into the 1-teens, if not even higher in a car. So put that in perspective for a moment. Minutes we're talking about. So why take the risk?
FAIR recommends parents and caregivers refrain from thinking this will never happen to my child and instead prepare so it won't happen to your child.
It's as simple as doing something like taking your shoe off and putting one of these shoes in the back seat with the child. You're not going to get very far without one of your shoes. Also, you may want to use something like your cell phone. So forming these habits where it forces you to look in the back seat, to retrieve something from the back seat, whether it's your employee badge, your purse, your laptop, whatever that may be, to make sure that every time you exit your vehicle, you're looking in that back seat.
Experts also say parking in the shade or cracking a window is not enough. And if you see a child alone in a car in the heat, call 911 to help get them out. From hot car safety to water safety and everything in between, Shannon Usher's here to talk about it. Our baby expert has a sweet little friend with her today. Shannon and Matthew will join us after the break. Shannon Usher is a certified neonatal occupational therapist, and she's relatively new to the Augusta area. She owns a private practice, Peaceful Infant, and specializes in oral feeding and development concerns for babies from birth to 12 months of age. Shannon is back with us today to talk about some summer safety concerns, and she has sweet little Matthew with her. Hey, Matthew. Oh, hi. How are you? Matthew is 7 months old, and he has 2 shining teeth.
He does.
2 teeth have come through, and your lungs are superb.
He is excited about this interview.
I love it. I love it. Well, you know, as you know, I have a little grandson, Graham, and one of the things as we approach summer is swim lessons.
Sure.
I'm especially, conscious of this because we have a pool in the backyard. So we want to make sure that, that baby is going to be comfortable in the water. And, my daughter had to just get waitlisted because all the classes fill up so fast for baby swim lessons.
Yes, I've actually heard that. I was unaware of that until recently, but you
Yeah.
were not the first person that has shared that with me. So the question is, what do you do?
Yeah. Well, fortunately, they got a spot.
Great.
So
Wonderful.
So they are in, and they start next weekend. Why is it important, of course, to have the swim instruction lessons with babies?
Well, I think the biggest thing is just about swim and water safety in general, right? So swim lessons per se in a baby that's under 12 months of age is more just about having fun in the water
Yeah.
and increasing just awareness to the beauty that is swimming as well as the innate safety risk,
Yeah.
right? And so I think that those early swim lessons, unless you're going a particular route that focuses on true survival, right? If you've got a pool or things like that. But if it's more of your traditional approach swim lesson, and it's funny, this actually pulls off of a whole different life that I had with teaching swim lessons.
Oh,
and
wow,
I was a
okay.
swimmer myself. And
Yes.
so
Yeah.
it's just really about having fun in the water, getting them really comfortable so that as they get older and they have the skills to be able to swim, that they enjoy it, that they love it, that they're comfortable taking risks, but kind of calculated safe risks to be able to develop the ability to swim.
I have two things that I want to say. One of them is when I had my first baby, my mother's best friend said, "Now, when you bathe him, always squeeze a little water and just let it run down his head, let it run down his face." She said, "We teach babies to wipe their face. Water gets in their eyes and we want to wipe it right away. Let your baby learn water's okay on their face."
Sure.
And so I did it with all three of mine, and it makes a really big difference.
Sure.
They understand water is okay, and don't, let me get that out of your eyes. You don't have to be like that. And then the second thing that I always was really concerned about with mine, I didn't want those little wings. I was not a huge fan of wings because I was afraid that was going to give them a false sense of security. I wanted them to understand about their weight in the water.
Sure.
I think a vest, when you put a little vest on a baby, that's a whole different thing than just putting wings on and telling them to go get in the water.
You've hit on a couple key points. And
Okay.
I think in regards to, water exposure on their face, one thing that's important, while it's a beautiful thing to offer to your baby, there is no scientific research to say that, hey, if you put water down a baby's face,
Yeah.
they will in fact swim better, right? And so is it an awesome, fun thing to do to give them different sensory exposures to their face and to the top of their head? Absolutely. Just like letting them play with their food and, put food in their mouth versus always wiping their face off.
Yep.
You put the spoon in and then you wipe it clean. It's like, let it get really messy around their face. Let it kind of drip down the front of them. Those are awesome sensory experiences for the whole body to be exposed to.
Fascinating. Fascinating. Okay.
And then in answer to your question about the water wings, it's funny that it does kind of get into kiddos a little bit older, but
That's right. Kids that can walk around and toddle around.
yes. But with that being said, there is a lot of information available about the risks that you do take by putting kids in wings, ironically, because it does create a false sense of safety because they have a hard time understanding what wings on mean versus wings off.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
even, one of the most popular summer swim items are those wings that then come across the front of the baby as well, or excuse me, across the front of the child where they sort of slip into it like a front-loaded shirt.
Yeah.
And what that actually does is it puts a child vertical in the water versus horizontal. So when you swim, you're horizontal. If you want to float, you're horizontal. You're
Exactly.
laying and you're using your natural buoyancy or the ability for your body to float without much effort, ironically. And so when you've got that front harness on, or that front floaty on is a better word, you end up this way in the water. And so then when you take it off, it's more challenging for that child to swim. Now, these are just
Fascinating.
thoughts and ideas, right? What matters is that you feel safe and comfortable. If you've got 6 kiddos running around the pool and you're responsible for all of them, put them in something that you know that they're going to be safe in.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. But if you have a choice, yes, a proper life vest would be a better option than perhaps the one that just goes, that they kind of put on like a shirt
Yeah.
or the water wings.
Yeah. When we're talking about what babies wear in the water, I never had thought about this before, but I see these things on Facebook now about the color of the swimsuit can make a really big difference. I guess just in terms of spotting a baby if in the water?
Yes. So again, there has not been standardized research that I'm aware of anyways at this point to prove that yes, in fact, a baby is more likely to survive should they be in a bright orange bathing suit versus a peach bathing suit. However, when you look at that in front of you, it's, you can see where you just blend into the color. It is more difficult to identify. I think the biggest thing, to be honest with you, is when you're around the water, whether it be a lake, a pool, a pond, 2 inches of water presents a safety risk.
Sure.
And it's just being hyper aware as the caregiver, whether
And
that's
put that phone down, for heaven's sake. Eyes on the baby. That's Jenny's rule. When there's water, eyes on the baby.
well, and it's true.
Eyes
It's
on
just-
your kids.
Things can happen very, very quickly.
Yeah.
And in Matthew's case, in theory, he's immobile at this point, right? Like if you leave him in a single spot, but he can still roll. Right? He's not crawling, he's
But he
not
can-
walking, but he can roll, and things just happen very quickly. And so just making sure that, there's a tag in and out. So if you and I were at the pool with Matthew together and it's just like, hey, Jenny, like I'm gonna use the bathroom, I'm gonna go
Right.
with this child to this location, you're in charge of Matthew. Just that clear, it's not something, it doesn't have to be something big, right? It's a 10-second little statement.
Exactly.
But just rather than 2 people watching the baby, just, the one is, I got eyes on.
Yeah.
And then when they don't have eyes on, they give that responsibility to
Somebody
someone
else.
Yes.
I love that. I
Yes.
love that. What about sunscreen in babies?
Sure. Well, I think it's about sun safety in general, right? So most people are probably aware of this, that the the American Academy of Pediatrics doesn't recommend sunscreen on babies less than 6 months just because their skin isn't as thick as it will be as they grow. So they're more susceptible to absorb any chemicals that are added to the sunscreen, as well as you just don't want them in the sun. And sometimes there's this artificial sense of safety because they have sunscreen on, now a baby can go in the sun. The reality is, vitamin D exposure is a wonderful thing, but direct sun exposure
It's
to
something else.
Yes, they're just at a much higher risk for burning, and it can happen very, very quickly.
And we're a fan of the bathing suits that have the sleeves and the sun SPF in the swimsuits and the little hats.
Yes, and I think those are a wonderful option for families, is just to keep their skin more covered. Hats are wonderful. Take the picture in the cute little fedora and then put the hat on that ties underneath, because everybody knows that when you have a baby that's like 4 months or older, right? Like it's coming off.
Yeah.
And so then eventually, like, who wins, I guarantee you, is the baby, right? And it's just like, I'm gonna keep taking this off, so when you tie it underneath them, they've got that hat on. And then something that people may be interested in, there's a great work group, it's called the Environmental Work Group, and they have done a lot of research about chemical additives to products to where they've got a sunscreen recommendation list. So you're just picking one that is a little bit safer for the baby and exposure. And then it's also great because you can actually put the product that you want to use for your baby
Put it in
into the database, and it will give a ranking, like a grade, like an A, B, C, D.
Yeah.
And then you can just make informed decisions, right?
Love that.
I'm not here to tell you if a decision is right or wrong because it's your family.
I love that.
But just having information, I think, can be really, really, really valuable and helpful. So that's a free resource available to families if they want to check out it.
Well, we will have that information for you on our website. All you need to do is go to WJBF.com, click the Jenny link, and you'll see this segment with Shannon and me, and we'll have a link to that site in that as well, so you'll
perfect.
find out. Shannon will be back in the fall, and we're going to be talking about traveling with baby and holidays with baby. And if you have any particular questions you'd like to ask Shannon, just email them to me, and I'll make sure we get that covered. Shannon Usher, thank you so much for being with us today. And Matthew, you are a star. We loved having you here, Matthew.
Thank you.
You can check out Shannon's website at bottlesonpurpose.com and follow Peaceful Infant on Facebook. Contact her at the number on your screen or email Shannon at peacefulinfant.com.